Hello, my name is Lord Surtr, and this is the level 4 solo security mission tier list for pirate ships and special ships. So there are a few terms and conditions that apply to this list, to this ranking. The first one would be it is essentially based on my testing. I try to be as objective as possible. It is also set for solo level 4 security missions. The fits are a reasonable price. No more than 3 warpouts are allowed, and at no point during this testing were any implants used. These fits do not apply to burners. Most of these ships will work in groups, if not many more ships and fits than there are here. It's hard to test for group play. So this list specifically has a few very interesting ships on here. So without further ado, let's get into it, because there are plenty on this list. Okay, so here we are with the pirate tier list, and this is essentially the first time that I have to invent an F tier, like a fail tier, because we have a certain Edencom ship, the Stormbringer, which is just not good enough. It can survive perfectly, it can do some missions, but the problem is its single target is just terrible, and certain mission NPCs it just cannot break. So this is the only one that will fit in the F tier. So let me put it down here. It is, I mean, I like these ships, I love to fly them. The benefits of this is it hits many targets at once, so in a fleet they could be useful, although I would bring the battleship instead of the cruiser. The negatives are very clear. It has not enough single target DPS. Skill requirements will be high, if not maxed out if possible, because you don't want to have even lower DPS. Again, I love this ship. I use it for epistles on occasion. It is fantastic. It is good at many other things like ratting, anomaly running, just yeah. So this is my only failed ship, and then we move up straight away into the D tier, with the first one in the D tier, which is the yes, it can run it, but not advised, avoid, but it can run it, would be the Ashimu. Now the Ashimu is a pirate cruiser. It has a absolutely epic web range, that's one of the bonuses of the Blood Raiders, and it has infinite NOS, which means that even if your target is depleted, you can still suck capacitor out of it, essentially, or you can gain an equivalent amount of capacitor, as if it would have capacitor. The negatives for the Ashimu are a weak tank and low range, short range essentially. I cannot get away with beams on this. Then you have even lower tank and no fitting remaining. The skill requirements I would say are medium. This does come with a nice drone bay. I mean, it did get boosted a tiny little bit quite a while ago. So the only fit that I could make work is a Pulse 10 MN armor tank fit afterburned. So this essentially has a weak tank, good utility, the webs are powerful, decent TPS, but this is most definitely not a ship for new players. So the other ship that I have listed in the D tier would be the Cinnabal. So the Cinnabal is, and again, a ship I really wanted to work. I tried a lot with this one. it works, but the tank is on the weaker end of things. The DPS is excellent. Good DPS. So this is a pirate cruiser. This is absolutely great DPS with autocannons at close range. It also has very good speed, being an angel ship, both warp speed and actual like agility speed. So the negatives I would say are it has weak tank for brawling, and because of the autocannons you need to be brawling. So it forces itself out of its comfort zone. Artillery would be perfect, but they just don't cut it on a cruiser. So skill requirements I would say are medium, autocannons, autocannon 10 mm, afterburner, shield tank fit is what I ran with. Didn't want to armor tank this because then I would lose too much DPS. So this is good DPS, fun to fly. Tank is a little too weak for all the level 4s though. The heavier level 4s you will struggle. So that's D tier. Then we go to C tier, which we start off with maybe an unlikely ship, the Stratios. Now, the Stratios, again pirate cruiser, is essentially a exploration drone ship. So this thing has a good drone bay, good drone DPS, and you can fit lasers on this to kill while you're kiting around with your drones. So you can pick off frigates that come too close with like pulse lasers. The negatives are it has a weak tank, so you definitely want to kite around with this and mostly rely on your drones. Don't go in if your lasers are out of range. Switch to long range ammo, continue kiting, let your drones kill it. Skill requirements are medium, as with most essentially pirate ships, because there are two factions you need to train, two empires essentially, and you do want both of them at a decent level, depending on what the bonuses are that you go for. That's different for each faction. So the only fit that I ran with here is the drone pulse 10 mn afterburner kiting Stratios. Armor tank, of course. So this is a fantastic ship for exploration, but it is an option for level 4s. Not at the same time, but it is an option. Like it can do it. Next up would be the Orthrus. Now the Orthrus is a Mortis Legion cruiser. So it gets bonuses to Warp Disrupt and Warp Scramble range, which are useless in PvE. Mostly useless. And a missile velocity bonus. So this is essentially a good kiting ship with good DPS and of course excellent range with heavy missiles. It does carry light drones for frigates as well to take out like the most annoying things that come too close. It is a decent tank, not stellar. So main takeaway here is don't get webbed. Medium skills, it's gonna be a team here. The 10 mm afterburner, heavy missile launcher, shield tank fit is what I came up with. Heavy assault missiles just don't really do it. You need to get in a little bit closer, and this thing really isn't a brawler. So this is essentially kite, do not get webbed, and use your excellent heavy missile range is what I would advise. So the next one in the C tier would be our little F tier Stormbringer's big sibling, the Thunderchild. Belongs in C tier. Yes, you can do all the missions with this, but I believe there's a battleship at the end of Vengeance that has a decent shield booster fitted, and this thing will break it, but you might be there a while. Because again, same weakness, all the Eden ships have the same weakness and the same strength. Great area damage, hits many targets, similar to Chain Lightning, the Photon Projector essentially. It has a good tank, and the negatives are, again, very low single target DPS. It's also an expensive ship, And the skill requirements for this one to be able to do all the level 4s are very, very high. I would say large Fortune specialization level 4, if not 5. Battleship skill 5. So that's a high requirement. It changes if you use them in group. I've done like 3 of these at the same time next to each other, and believe me, it is a blast. It is so much fun. But solo, I don't really enjoy this solo. I did make a fit that had a large shield booster with an afterburner, target painter, basically full damage in the low slots. I mean, there's not many fits you can make with this thing, essentially. I would not recommend this solo, but it gets better the more Thunder Children are added, or Thunder Childs. Always confuses me. So the next step would be, yes, it is possible. The Gnosis. So the Gnosis is a Society of Conscious Thought battlecruiser. It is a special edition battlecruiser, and its main positives are basically no skill requirements to get into the ship. That doesn't mean that you're gonna be looking at a working fit without skill requirements. It means you can fly the ship without it, not that you're going to be good in it. The fits, essentially for me, I've tried many versions, and autocannons and heavy missiles with drones and a shield tank work the best for me. And that's where I had my best experience. I tried armor tanking it, but I lose a ton of DPS. I've tried railguns and my tracking is just not good enough. The DPS is also not great, but it can be done if your skills are high. It's a jack of all trades, master of none. Skill requirements, no skills to fly, I would say low to use and medium to master. The autocannon with drones, 10 MN, and the heavy missile fit with drones, 10 MN, both shield tank is what I used. I would say this is essentially a absolutely great starter. Still requires some skills to do level 4s. Decent DPS, not stellar. But honestly, if you look at a ship that you can start at level 3s with and just continue flying all the way through while you're skilling up, while you're unlocking other stuff, this is a great one because you can fit it with whatever skills you have at that moment. And the last one for the C tier would be the Vedmak. Let me find it. Oh, here. The Vedmak. So this is a precursor cruiser. I would say the Vedmak has a good tank, good kiter, and decent DPS. The negatives would be the low initial DPS and the long spool up time of the disintegrator. You will eventually reach good DPS, but bear in mind you will start quite low and the spool is long. So the skill requirements obviously are medium, as it is a separate tech tree, essentially a separate weapon system. I used a afterburner 10 MN kiting fit with essentially a medium disintegrator. You don't really get a choice here. And armor tanked. You armor tank these. So slow DPS spool, good tank, and decent overall. And that brings us to the B tier. And the B tier, I'm going to start with the big cousin of the Gnosis. That would be the Praxis. So the Praxis is the special edition battleship, Society of Conscious Thought. And essentially, you can fit it however you want, however it suits your skills. but I did try many versions and they're not all equal. Some may feel very clunky, some may not have the tank. There's so many options to try. I didn't end up trying all of them. I'm sure there's more. This is a jack of all trades, master of none. Skill requirements are just as low. You hardly need anything to fly it, but every skill you pour into this makes it better. The fits that I flew that were, for me, clear winners was essentially the laser fit. I believe with beam lasers, basically set up like a sniper kind of battleship, and cruise missiles, again set up as a long distance sniper. This is a great starter for level 4s. The ship itself is also not that expensive, and it's very flexible. So it's obvious it's not going to be the best at it, but it is decent at it, which is all you can really expect from this. So next up, I'm surprising myself here. I did not believe I had a Vindicator in the B tier. I'm gonna check something really quickly. Sorry for this. Because I believe the Vindicator should be, yeah, B tier exactly. Wow. Okay, sorry. The Vindicator, pirate battleship, Serpentis battleship. So the Vindicator, right there. So this has absolutely fantastic blaster DPS. I would say the best webs ever, 90% webs. You can shield tank or armor tank this one. Yeah, you can do both. The negatives are obviously the range is short and the capacitor definitely needs high skills. The reason I went straight for blaster is very simple. Megatron Navy uses rails best, and the Kronos, I would also argue you would want to go with rails. So the Vindicator, also with the web bonus, it doesn't get a range on the web, so you want to be close range anyway. Blasters are perfect. If you put rails on it, you might as well forget about the web. In a way, you're wasting a bit of the potential. So the Vindicator for me is the Kronos, if it could move. Essentially Kronos with mobility. And then it would definitely suit blasters. So the skill requirements are medium to high. I would say high, really. I use the blaster armor fit and a shield blaster fit with 500 mN micro warp drive. They're not infallible. You can actually overextend and having to warp out with this thing. It depends on your skills. The Vindicator that's why it's also B tier as a pirate battleship, is because it is liable to piloting errors in the hardened missions. And then after it we have its cruiser, the Vigilant. So the Vigilant is a Serpentis cruiser. It has a decent tank, it has good blaster DPS again, same fantastic, super great webs. The negatives are it has tier 1 resistances, take 1 resistances. The skill requirements for this one would be medium. And I've tried 2 fits on this and I lost one because I put a micro warp drive on this. The signature bloom doesn't get any reduction here. Bear that in mind if you go all ham on a micro warp drive. So I switched to the afterburners because of it, and after I did that one, suddenly it became a really good ship. So I used the blasters combined with a web, 10 mN afterburner and an armor tank. I did the same with the rail version. It still works. So my conclusion now is this is a good brawler. It's good. The next one would be the Nestor. Now the Nestor is the one above the Stratios, and maybe I should put them like this, no? It's a pirate battleship, Sisters of Eve battleship, really. It is very good at range with lasers and sentries. It is essentially a sniper, a turret slash sniper, because if you use sentries and beam lasers, you're basically setting yourself up as a turret. But one of the unique things about this ship is it has a ship maintenance bay. Doesn't really help you solo, not that much, but if there are people in your fleet or nearby, if they come, I believe, within 2,500 meters of your hull, of your Nestor, they can actually refit. Of course, cannot refit in combat, but that's kind of a unique trait for this one. This is not a great brawler. You don't want to go put pulse lasers on this and go in all the way, because you will have to compromise, because it's an armor tank, on the DPS. If you do, because you need to really up your tank. So I used a beam laser sentry 100 MN micro jump drive armor tanked Nestor. So this is essentially a good sniper with great drone DPS and a maintenance bay. You can use it with heavies, with sentries, whatever suits your style. And then next up we have indeed a very special ship. One that I actually really love to run missions in. It is not that cheap. It is the Orca. It's an ore industrial command ship. So the reason the Orca is so good, honestly, it has fantastic medium drone DPS. You can launch a full set of medium drones, and you have your industrial core. Now your industrial core helps your industry and compression and all that other stuff that you don't need. Throw that all out. And essentially you can get over 1000 medium drone DPS out of this thing. 1000 medium drones, which means very, very good application. Because medium drones track. And that's the key. But it's all in the industrial core. Without the industrial core, it is a lot lower. So it has also a very good tank and utility. Now, it cannot fit any guns or launchers, so the way I tend to fit it is I put some like utility there, armor repair for my drones if they go into armor, or maybe even... Is a hull repair high slot? I mean, just to repair drones on the fly. Tractor beam gets a nice boost in range. There's plenty of things. The negatives, of course, it needs to deploy its industrial core, which is similar to Bastion in a way, and it warps very slow. Of course, with a micro warp drive trick, you can get into warp fairly fast, honestly. It's just a warp speed that is slow. Skill requirements, it is an industrial command ship. And you want your industrial core to be as high as possible, because that's actually what provides your DPS. I would say are high. So I just used a medium drone, shield tanked, 500 MN micro warp drive Orca fit. So this is essentially a very good industrial mission runner. And it gets up to 1000, actually a little bit over 1000 drone DPS. And then we have the first Concord ship on the list, the Enforcer. Now, the Enforcer is a special Force Recon ship. Special because it's Concord. It can fit according to your skills. You can fit it according to your skills. The autocannons and the heavy assault missiles, I would honestly recommend. And I would use like, because it has, I don't know, it has a certain amount of slots for ore guns or launchers, and then 2 more slots, or one for the cruiser, I'm not 100%, to fit something else. I believe it's 2 others. So if you fit the hams, you can fit 2 autocannons as well. If you fit the autocannons, you can fit 2 heavy assault missile launchers, or make it something else with launchers. Those are the 2 that I could make and get to work. Some of the other weapon systems didn't really do so well, because this gets no drones. Conquered ships cannot launch drones. So this is a jack of all trades, a master of none. And unique to the Conquered ships, you really want good security status. Preferably 5.0. Your tank will love you for it. You will survive because of your status. So skill requirements are medium. The autocannon shield and the heavy assault missile shield fits are what I used. I use an afterburner on it as well. So this is essentially a good, solid, decent mission runner. And then we have another special pirate battle cruiser ship, the Cenotaph. Now, the Cenotaph is technically cover-tops capable. I mean, it can warp cover-tops, it can get jumped with a Black Ops bridge. So this ship screams high DPS, short range. So this has really good DPS for short range. You can look at the bonuses. It's like heavy assault missiles and I believe even autocannons. It also comes with a very unique weapon system, which would be the breacher pod. I would suggest if you put it on there for mission running, the ammunition is expensive, so make the most out of it. The bigger your target, the more you'll get out of it. Use it on the battleships. Don't use it on battlecruiser or lower. It's your call, but it is expensive to use, and battleships are its best target. It also comes with a very good tank on the ship. So the negative would be the short range. If you have a mission that kites away from you, you might kite for a while. And the breacher pods are bad on smaller targets. So the skill requirements I would say are medium, plus the breacher skills, which have gotten a lot cheaper, but probably still rather expensive for just one weapon system that's only used on like 2 ships. So I used a autocannon, heavy assault missile, 100 MN afterburner shield tank fit for this. So this is expensive. It's an expensive ship. It has come down in price a bit, but it's still expensive. But it is very good at short to medium range. And then we have something of a special ship, like the most expensive ship on any of my tier lists, and that would be the Marshall. Now, I did actually test the Marshall today with some more fits. So this is a special Black Ops battleship, Concord of course. You can fit this technically according to your skills. But bear in mind, this ship is like, at the moment, like 12-13 billion for the hull alone. It's not worth running. It's also probably a gank magnet. I would say I use it with cruise missiles or torpedoes. And today I've also tested the autocannons. The autocannons were a big surprise because their excellent tracking make them work. The autocannons are good as well. So this is again a jack of all trades, master of none. It needs, I would say don't fly this if you don't have 5.0 security standing. It is a extremely expensive ship. You really want to get everything out of it. Because the main disadvantage is, the main negative not to fly it is so expensive. Skill requirements are high. Cruise and torpedoes, 500 MN, macro jump drive, bridge fit. What I meant is that I have an exit sign already, and I use a macro warp drive with a macro jump drive combination. Macro jump drive is to get out, reposition, make sure that if I'm ever warp disrupted and I cannot get out, that I can just zip out and warp off. Because this thing you don't want to lose, you don't want to risk. And of course the autocannon shield 500 mn macro jump drive fit as well. So this is a good mission runner. Honestly, it works quite well, but it is way too expensive to recommend, and it is definitely a tank magnet. So be careful. This one I would honestly not advise. It looks cool to have in your hangar bay, but yeah, that's it. And the next one would be the Drekavac, which is the precursor battlecruiser. So this is a good tank, a good kiter, and good DPS. The negatives, again, as with all trick ships, are low initial DPS and long spool up of the disintegrator. So skill requirements I would say are medium, and I used a 100 mn afterburner dual armor repair fit. Good DPS, tank and speed is my conclusion for this one. So then we have the last ship in the B tier, and that is, well, technically the only capital ship that can run a level 4 in HISEC. If and only if there are no acceleration gates, that would be the Avalanche, the freighter, Edencom freighter. Now the Avalanche is a massive ship. It feels massive. It has very low agility. It is extremely slow to get into warp. And this thing is, these bonuses are focused on auto-targeting missiles. So you want to use this, I mean, with auto-targeting cruise missiles. And I know the faction wants the Legion cruise missiles exist. Believe me, on this one, they are worth it. I get about 1340 DPS out of this with auto-targeting missiles. And yeah, the ship is slow. Like, slow. Cannot enter acceleration gates, and with the auto-targeting cruise missiles you have one main disadvantage: you do not control what you're gonna hit. And if it's a mission with triggers like blockade, I mean, the ship can tank it. It has such an insane tank that it can tank it, but it will most likely just kill the triggers first. It seems to do that with auto-targeting missiles. So skill requirements are high. I would say I did try this out with Upwell Freighter 3 in the beginning because I was too eager, and that was not a good idea. So I would say do not fly this with lower than level 4 Upwell Freighter skill. Preferably 5. Because it's a massive difference in DPS. So I used auto-targeting cruise missiles with the shield tank fit. Of course, shield tank, because it's kind of hard to armor tank this. The main advantage in conclusion, it is the only capital ship, because freighters technically are capital ships that can run a mission in HISEC. And that's it for the B tier. So then we move on to the A tier, and the first one in the A tier I want to say is a ship that I probably have, I don't know what ship that I've flown most, but it might be a Gila or a Gila. So this is a pirate cruiser, Choristas, and Choristas are excellent at PvE. So this is essentially a juiced up ship with excellent DPS medium drones. It's also a very good shield tank, ask any abyssal runner. And yeah, it brings missile support. The missiles are supported, not a main thing. I use usually a passive shield tank with rapid light missiles on this, because my drones can be doing in the distance whatever they want. If any annoying free comes up to me, I just blast them with the rapid light missiles, and that's done. So the negatives are, yes, it's just a cruiser. Not really a negative, is it? Couldn't find any. The skill requirements, I would say, are low. You can get into this thing with low skills and still do quite well. If you have low skills, I would still watch out in missions, because they can, in some missions with lower skills, break your passive tank. So I use the rapid light missile passive shield tank afterburner fit killer. So this is a cheap, because you can get this really cheap, and a really solid mission runner. And the application with medium drones is just fantastic. And then next up in the A tier, we have the bigger version, which would be the Alligator. Another Guristas battlecruiser. So this essentially is different from the Gila in the fact that it's a battlecruiser. It gets the exact same medium drones, exact same bonuses. It once again has an excellent shield tank. You can do passive, can even do active. But what makes the main difference is the fact that this one adds essentially a missile bonus on top of the drone bonus. So this one is good with drones and good with missiles. It's basically, what if you slammed a Drake into a Gila? Then you get this. The negatives, couldn't find any. Maybe, well, it's a battlecruiser, so fairly slow. I used a heavy missile passive shield tank afterburner fit for this. It is a solid mission runner, and it has very good application with medium drones and missiles. And next up, we go even bigger, because of course, the Rattlesnake. So this is the Guristas battleship. It is essentially a juiced up heavy sentry DPS ship. You can use heavy sentries, depends what your style is. It has a very good shield tank. You can active tank it, can be done, but most people, I believe, seem to passive shield tank it. So it has very good DPS with the missiles as well. So it's mostly a drone ship with, I believe it might be 2/3 drone DPS, 1/3 missile DPS, or 50-50 depending how you fit it. They both do well. So I didn't find any negatives, other than, again, it's being fairly slow, but that also depends how you fit it. I tend to use an afterburner. Skill requirements, I would say medium. It is requiring both missile skills and drone skills. Caliente battleship and Caldari battleship. So I used a cruise passive shield tank fit, or a rapid heavy missile passive shield tank fit. Now the cruise is better suited for what I would say is a sentry gameplay of sitting in place with long range, while the rapid heavy missiles have shorter range, so probably you want to use heavies with that one because you're going to be moving closer. So this is essentially a fantastic mission runner. Stellar, like fantastic application with the heavy and the sentry drones and with the missiles. This is just a good ship. And next up, we have the Mordus Legion ship, the Barghest. So the Barghest is a very fast battleship, and it has great missile DPS and long range missile DPS, because again, velocity bonus on the missiles. Can also run cap stable with micro war drive and a good tank. It's a great kiting ship. Negatives are, well, it's expensive, but that's all I could find. Oh yeah, not a brawler. Skill requirements are medium. to pull it off at minimum. I used 3 different fits for this one. I used the cruise missile fit, essentially the rapid heavy missile fit, and the torpedo fit. They were all 500 mm micro warp drive, shield tank, kiting ships. You can actually get away with, I believe there is a passive fit as well, passive shield tank. But I just use a large shield booster and a micro warp drive to essentially speed tank in a battleship. So this is a good kiter with good and fast missile DPS. Usually the main disadvantage is that your missiles take super long to arrive to the target. Now the Barghest adds a speed bonus, so it fixes it a little bit. And then next up in the A tier, yep, the Balgorn. I wouldn't put the Balgorn exactly in the same level as the Barghest and the Rattlesnake, but it is definitely better than the ships in the B tier. So this is a great sniper with utility, an infinite NOS again, and long range web. Like the web is long range and it definitely helps. And it also gets a decent drone bay, being an Armageddon hull. The main negatives are it's very expensive. Skill requirements are definitely medium, if not high. So I used a beam laser, webifier, afterburner, micro jump drive, armor tanked fit with a good drone bay. So this is a solid ship with many utilities, drones and webs for taking out frigates. The next one would be the Iki Tursa. So the Iki Tursa is the precursor heavy assault cruiser. This has a good tank, a very good tank, good DPS when spooling, with good tracking also. And most trick ships get decent drone base. So the negatives are the lower DPS at the start of the spool up, which every trick ship has that issue, even the Marauder. So skill requirements are rather high, being a heavy assault cruiser and a trick ship with essentially a special weapon system. So I used a 50 MN micro warp drive armor tanked fit for this. So this is definitely the best triangle cruiser. It is overall just a bloody good ship. To stick with the Triglavian theme, we'll continue with the Leshak. Now the Leshak is the battleship, the Tech 1 battleship, because recently something else came out and that fits a little bit higher. So this thing has a very good tank, it has a very good spool up DPS, it has decent range and a sizable drone bay. Main negatives, it's slow, it is clunky and it spools up. Even with a micro warp drive it doesn't feel that super, and with a micro warp drive you essentially need to sacrifice some for your capacitor to be, if you want to go close to cap stability. Skill requirements are medium to high, and I ran this with a dual armor repair 100 mm fit. Could use a micro warp drive, but then I would really have to micromanage everything and my capacitor would not be comfortable at all. So this is most definitely a recommended triangle ship for missions also. Next up we have the Angel battlecruiser, the Kizril. This thing I had a lot of fun with. So this has very high DPS, good range with autocannons. I believe it goes easily up to like 59 kilometers fall off with autocannons. And with artillery you get a good alpha as well. You can do both. It has a decent drone bay too. So it also has quite a good tank. And the only negatives I could come up with is it's not a Macario. So skill requirements I would say is medium. And I used an autocannon 10 mm shield tank fit. and an artillery 50 MN macro warp drive with both shield tanks. This is definitely a good mission runner, and I will most definitely recommend the Kizril. But there's one that's even better, and that would be the Macariel. Now the Macariel is kind of a staple and a really loved ship. Angel pirate battleship, high DPS, excellent range with autocannons, decent tank. It is not the most tanky ship out there, but this is for me set up as a kiter / sniper. Yes, even with the autocannon fit, because it moves around a lot and it's fast. It's a very fast ship. It is a very fast warper. High warp speed, gets into warp fast. The main negatives are, well, it is kind of expensive. Skill requirements I would put at medium. And there are several fits. I have like an autocannon 500 MN macro warp drive shield tank fit. I also have an autocannon 100 MN shield tank fit. And there's a third fit which uses autocannons and a little bit lower of a tank on it, and it focuses more on capitalizing on the Angel strength, as in fit hyperspatials, go warp, basically blitz missions as fast as you can, spend as low of a time in the mission as you possibly can, one shot or headshot what you need, get the hell out, next mission. That is what this thing does. You can also run it normally, so this is a very good mission runner, and I would absolutely recommend this one. And then we have a couple of ships. I guess you can guess which ones, because the list is rather short right now. Would be the Phantasm. Phantasm is a Sunshine pirate cruiser, high amount. Sunshine get a bonus to afterburn speed, and they also get more capacitor. Sunshine ships have a high base capacitor, much higher than other ships, so you have a high amount of capacitor and good afterburn speed. You also get good DPS with lasers and a good tank. So good that I run a polarized Phantasm for missions as well. You can get away with it, but I would suggest high skills if you want to do the polarized one, because, I mean, polarized, no resistances. So I didn't find any negatives to this ship, to this fit, other than, well, damage locked, I guess, EM thermal, but whatever. Skill requirements are medium. I used a beam 10 MN active shield tank fit. I also tried a beam 10 MN afterburner passive shield tank ship fit, and that also works. But my most fun one is the polarized pulse laser 10 MN shield tank. That's just so much fun, because you have the feeling of being right on the edge, like you have zero resist across the board. So this is for me a very solid cruiser, and it is honestly a very fun ship to fly. But if you like battleships, then you need a nightmare. The Sunshine pirate battleship, very high amount of capacitor, again great afterburner speed, good DPS with lasers, good tank. This is everything the Phantasm is, but scaled up to battleship level. No negatives to speak of, other than maybe the lasers sometimes don't track perfectly, but that's normal for battleship weapons. Medium to high skills required. I have a Pulse 100 MN afterburner shield tank fit for this, and I also in the beginning used a Tachyon beam shield tank sniping fit. The tracking on that one is debatable though. But this is a absolutely fantastic battleship. It's a very good overall mission runner, and 100% recommend. And at last we get to what is essentially our newest ship, the Barbaroga. Took me a while to get one, but it's a marauder. It's the first non-Empire marauder. It's a Triglavian precursor marauder, the Tech 2 version of the Leshak. So main positives I would say is the Bastion. It has an excellent tank. It has good to absolutely fucking epic DPS, and with epic I mean truly astronomical. If you can manage to stay put for more than a few minutes, it will spool and spool and spool and spool. If you find certain missions a station that you don't need to kill, just have at it. See how high you can go. Main negatives for this one would be it cannot move while in Bastion, and yes, this thing has definitely a lower DPS start because of the spool. It's also damage locked, but all trick ships are so. And if I have to be honest, out of all the Marauders, I do not consider this one anywhere near the best one. Simply because of the DPS spool. You start out with lower DPS than the other Marauders, and most targets die before you get to a good DPS. So essentially you end up doing lower DPS. But that's how it's balanced. Because if you manage to continue hitting a target, your DPS is gonna spool incredibly high. So definitely high skill requirements. And I used two fits for this. I have one a little bit more expensive single armor repair Barbaroga fit. And I have another one that I came up with a dual repair, like dual armor repair. And believe me, it is incredible how budget it is. And it tanks more than the more expensive one. This is most definitely the pinnacle of triangle missions. If you want to fly a pirate battleship, this is the best one, essentially. Also by far the most expensive one. I don't know at what price this will settle. Currently it's still about 8.2 billion. I would value this at 3 billion at most. For what I see myself doing with it, I would say 3 billion at most. I don't know the production cost. If the production cost is higher than 3 billion, fair enough, but I value other Marauders more than this. So that is essentially the end for this tier list. Those are all the pirate and special ships that can actually run missions. Hey, awesome if you made it this far. Please like and subscribe and follow me on Twitch. And thank you for being here, and I will see you next time.